how do I best address my friends' harmful patterns without making them feel abandoned? I know it's a bit of a loaded one.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So I've had this friend for a long time now. It's nearly been 20 years. And I care about them deeply. Like, they're one of my closest friends. But unfortunately, they've had a lot going on through their life. And every couple of years, it's almost like clockwork. They fall into a deep depression. And, like, I'm always there for them, which I always will be. But it's getting to a point now where the self-harm and the destructive, like, behaviors are just, the repetition it's a lot to not see them trying to help themselves in any way. Like, I don't know how to.
Tell me about self-harm. What kind of self-harm?
So, self-harm in the sense of like with medications and with physical self-harm, like with blades and stuff too.
Cutting, okay. When you say medications, are these suicide attempts?
I'd say yes with the medication. With the cutting, not so much, because it's not in the right way, I guess you could say. I think the self-harm in the cutting is more of a trying to feel something different than their own mental health problems for a moment, which is really sad. But
how long has the cutting been going on?
Since before I've known them, to be honest with you, and I've known them since we were teenagers.
How has the cutting escalated
a long time.
over that time?
It's just gotten worse. It's like deeper and yeah, like deeper, I guess you could say. And my most recent experience with them, it was pretty bad. And unfortunately, my friend won't allow. It sounds so silly. I'm so sorry, Dr. John, but
no, don't be sorry.
They won't allow me or my friends to call any actual emergency services or take them to a hospital because they don't believe that they'll actually get help there. They think that they're going to get thrown away, like in a psych ward or something, and it's just not how it works. And we've tried to explain that to them, and it's just getting to a point now where it's really, really hard to stop everything going on in my life to do this every time this happens. But there's that conflicting feeling of course, I'm going to stop what's going on in my life to help them. But it's just at a point now where I just feel so weird about it because my friend won't even accept the help when we're trying to give it.
So number one, I'm going to tell you that I wish the world had more friends who cared like you.
Thank you.
Like all the way across the planet. I want you to feel me saying I'm grateful for you.
Thank you.
It's pretty amazing. And I would love to spend several hours just having nachos with you and listening to your story about how you came to become a person who just cares so deeply. It's pretty amazing. So I want to change directions a bit, but I'll loop us all the way back around, okay?
Yeah.
What do you do for a living?
I'm an artist.
You're an artist, okay.
I do tattoo work.
Okay. So let's say you have a friend named Dan. And Dan has a small flat in Sydney. And one day Dan calls you in the middle of the night, screaming, come over, come over, come over. And because you're Abby, you're who you are. You ask no questions. You grab your small bag and you are on your bike and you're there in no time.
Yeah.
And you run in the door and all of Dan's toilets have exploded. They're just pouring water and urine and cha-cha-cha-cha-cha all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And you're getting drenched and the smell is dreadful and Dan is in the middle of the house screaming and there's several other friends over and you're like, what are we doing? And he's like, I don't know. My toilets have exploded. And you say, well, I'm calling emergency services. And he's like, no, No one's calling a
Yeah.
plumber. You have to fix this, Abby. And you're thinking, I'm an artist. I do not know how wax seals on toilets work and plumbing. I don't know anything. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Your love for your friend is clouding the fact that this has far, far exceeded your ability to help her.
Yeah.
And help is different than sit with. I'll always be there.
Yeah.
But as a friend, I refuse to watch you sit by me and die. And so if you want to call it abandonment, fine. And by the way, there is cutting doesn't raise my eyebrow one iota. I've dealt with cutting my entire career.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's an escalation to cutting that becomes a dress rehearsal for something worse. It becomes like the act of dying by suicide is so unnatural to the body.
Mm.
There can be an escalation, a practicing, if you will.
Yeah.
And what you're describing to me as cuts that are so bad, you and your friends are trying to call emergency services and they're screaming, don't do it, demanding not to do it. I want you to drop your shoulders and finally exhale, not in a powerless way, but in a powerful way. I am over my head now. I'm calling in every authority I can call because I value your life. And if you don't like me or you get mad at me, so be it. I'll be happy to know that you are alive hating me than planning your funeral.
Yeah.
And so the greatest gift we can give others sometimes when they are acting irrationally is to not take them, other things they say in those moments, as rational. Right? Somebody that is hurting themselves to that level. Have you had to put the wounds back together, hold them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So somebody lands at that level and you're holding compresses, you are taping people, like you've stitched, like you've been there, right? I've seen this. And then, so you're seeing somebody do something that is not rational, which is to injure themselves, not just to feel pain, but to hurt.
Yeah.
And yet they say, don't call anybody or else. Well, I want you to hear that is not rational either.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Not picking and choosing which one. Now, when I tell you, I want you to sit down with your friend and say, hey, you've got 24 hours. I'm going to go with you. I'm going to be with you every step of the way that they'll allow me, but you got to go get professional help because I'm not going to watch you die.
Yeah.
Imagine yourself saying that and tell me what's in your guts. Where do you feel the resistance to that conversation?
I think just because we've had that conversation before, but maybe I haven't been as direct as what you've just said. You know, I've spoken to them about seeing someone or coming with me to see someone together, and I can just sit in the room if they need me to, or I'll sit outside of the room. But every single time it's, no, I'm not doing that. I don't want to. And that's where my frustration is lying, I think.
Well, and that's where you have to make the choice.
Yeah.
This sounds harsh, to protect you.
Yeah.
And I want you to make the choice to refuse to watch your friend wither and die in your presence over a period of 20 years.
Mm.
I refuse. And so the conversation does get very direct. It's not a matter of, hey, I would love it tonight. Why don't please make the call? I'll go with you. It's not it. The conversation is, here's the deal. By the end of this evening, you will be in psychiatric care. You want me to drive you? Or do you want them to come here and give you a shot and strap you down? You get to pick.
Yeah.
I would love to drive you. You don't care about me. You're this, you're that. Swear words screaming. I hate you. Oh my gosh, you're abandoning me. Great. I get that. I get you're mad. I believe you. Which choice would you like? Choice A, I drive you, or B? tonight's the night you go get help. And do you see the difference? I'm going to begin to squeeze every option you have out. Now, I don't know the laws in Australia. I don't know if she can just go sign herself out after a 72-hour hold. I don't know all the rules in Australia. But that's the kind of conversation I'm going to have with a close friend that I love.
Yeah.
And for whatever it's worth, I've had that conversation with people that I love. And it's almost universally the person who's hurting exhales because they can't keep carrying all of this.
Yeah.
Right.
My friend's a good person too.
Of course she is.
They deserve to feel like they belong here.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. I think that's where it hurts. Like I don't even want to tell them that I've been sad and upset about this because I don't want to put extra pressure on them. But it's just, man, like, you know, we all love you and we all want you here. And I know that sometimes that's not enough for some people, but like they have so much support and so many people that care.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I just hope, that in the next conversation they can actually, and as you said, they might turn around and be like, I hate you. But yeah, you're right. I would rather them be disgruntled and upset with me for doing the right thing than just sitting there and letting them. Yeah.
I will risk the oldest, longest, most connected friendships I have for life and death.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every step of the way. And I've been through this conversation so many times with close friends, with people that I do professionally. I've almost taken it as a responsibility of somebody saying, like, I imagine life in a car and they're screaming, I can't drive this thing. Please come take the wheel.
Yeah.
And I need you to hear me say, Abby, when somebody gets to that situation, there's not a thing you can say that you haven't already said. They're going to go, oh, you're right. Here's how to drive.
Yeah.
They've decided I'm not driving. So they can move over, or you can pick them up and put them in the back seat, but you have to take the wheel. And in this case, it's exceeded your capacity, exceeded your ability. And that's great. That's good. That's why we have amazing professionals who will come in and walk alongside her.
Absolutely.
And your goal here is not to be liked. Your goal here is not to make sure she's quote unquote okay. The goal is to be a kind of friend who wades through fire and does the right thing, especially when it's hard.
Yeah.
Can I leave you with one other piece of just as honest truth as I can lay on you?
Absolutely.
Take a big deep breath and hold it. 3, 2, exhale it. Drop your shoulders, okay? All right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a very real possibility that you do everything right here and there's not a great outcome.
Yeah.
And the trend line you're telling me is especially concerning to me. And so I want you to make peace with the very limited amount of control you have in the situation. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that hard? God, it's the worst thing you can imagine.
Yeah.
But you can do everything right here. Call in every professional, call in every situation, and your friend do something irreversible. And you can choose to spend the rest of your life wondering, maybe I shouldn't have said anything. Maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I shouldn't have. Or you can spend the rest of your life exhaling, knowing I'm heartbroken that I lost my friend, but I did everything. I did the next right thing every time I could. Especially when it came to knowing when I was over my head and needed to call some professionals. And I know that's a sad, heartbreaking place to be, but when people that I work with are hurting in this way, I always leave space for they're still autonomous adults that can make decisions that are terrifying and scary and heartbreaking for all of us who remain.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do everything in my power to prevent that, but you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, give me a pulse.
Yeah.
Give me a pulse check. How are we doing? Did you think this is what I was going to say? Or are you like, man, you suck?
Yeah. No. I actually really appreciate it because, here I am in my head going, have I done this? Can I do that? Should I do this? And really, you've given me direction of what I can do next, but the permission, which, I know really give myself permission, but reminding me to give myself permission to breathe and realize that it's not all on me. It's, at the end of the day, they are an adult with their own decisions to make too, and I can only do so much.
And you're past that.
Yeah.
And let me promise you with all my guts, promise you. You would much rather be on the side of this friend not ever wanting to talk to you again and them still being alive than going to a funeral and wondering what would have happened if I'd called.
Yeah. Yeah.
I promise you that. Okay? I'd rather you mad at the psychiatric hospital because something happened while she was there than you look in the mirror and say, I should have called. You gonna make
I really appreciate that.
You gonna make the call?
A lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. This may be the most
thank you.
loving act of kindness you've ever waded through.